Hello boys and girls, Busternaut here, and welcome back to another Armored Aces tank review. So today we are taking a look at the Jagdtiger, the top of the tree of the new tank destroyers which were introduced into the game. And that's right, we are going straight to the top, starting with the strongest among them, the Jagdtiger. Now, when fully upgraded, this beast can do up to 305 damage per shot, has 1080 hit points, reaches 24 km per hour, which is kind of slow, but you can buy the fuel consumable. 11 rounds per minute guarantees good DPM, and a maximum of 345 meters view range. Now, this is obviously the strongest of the new German tank destroyers, so it is not going to be a bad vehicle, but let's cover some of the strengths and the weaknesses that the Jagdtiger has. Now, first of all, the biggest weakness, it doesn't have a turret because it's a tank destroyer, and as you can see, it does not have a turret, which means that if you want to shoot somebody, you have to rotate the whole tank, which is going to decrease your aim. It's going to take time, and it's going to cost you your life sometimes. Not to mention that it's extremely easy to get circled by lighter and more mobile tanks, and that can be frustrating as well. If you are alone without support, or perhaps your teammates cannot help you, you can get circled pretty easily. It didn't happen to me, but I'd imagine that it can happen, and when it does, it will be quite frustrating. Now, one thing that I discovered about the Jagdtiger is you can bait shots at your side armor while angled, and you can bounce them. Now, I'm aware that this works with other tanks as well, but it worked for me in the Jagdtiger especially good. Now, for the time I played this tank, I bounced a lot of shots this way. Now, you have to angle your side at really high angle, so you have to go out behind a corner to shoot your enemies, not showing your front first, but side scraping, and side scrape at an extreme angle, so your side will have bigger chance to bounce shots. Other tanks can do this as well, but it worked for me perfectly in the Jagdtiger. I don't know why, probably because the sides are really flat, and it doesn't have a turret. I mean, if you side scrape with a tank, they can shoot you in the front of the turret, while the Jagdtiger doesn't have one, and the whole tank gets out at an angle. So baiting shots with your side, extremely valuable way to deal with your enemies. You don't lose anything. I mean, if the shot doesn't bounce, fair enough, it will do more damage to your side armor, but it's really unlikely that it will not bounce, because you're showing just a little bit of your side armor. But some of the players like to take that risk and always go for the side armor because they know that they can do that little bit more damage, and that can be their mistake. Now, in this match, I believe I bounce some shots that way, and we're going to see that coming. Now, having covered that, the armor on the Jagdtiger is pretty good. Obviously, if they shoot you in the side, you're going to die quickly, but the front acts really nicely. I will not be surprised if this superstructure is actually reinforced like the T95, because we all know that the superstructure of this tank was incredibly strong in real life, so it will only make sense to add increased damage reduction on this superstructure. But don't take my word for it, I am not sure that it's like that. It's probably not, to be honest. Probably the whole front of the tank is with the same kind of damage reduction, excluding the possible weak spot, which is the machine gun on the front of the tank. But anyways, the armor is pretty nice on the front, obviously. The gun performs reasonably well. I mean, there we go. Do you see that bounce? That's what I'm talking about. I mean, against mouses and T100s, you cannot do a whole lot of damage, but against Tiger 2s and Pershings, you do a reasonable amount of damage. If you hit them in the side armor, you hit over 300. So there we go again. Bait that bounce. And that's what I'm talking about. Just come out in an extreme angle, and if they shoot your side, they are going to bounce. If they shoot your front, you're going to take minimum amount of damage possible, because obviously your front is the most armored part of your tank. So that is the way of doing it in this machine, in my opinion. It gives you the highest chance of survival. I mean, if they hit your side, they bounce. If they hit your front, you take minimum amount of damage. So that's the better way to do it. But here comes another weakness of the vehicle, and that is the gun arc. The gun arc is the degree that you can move your gun sideways without having to turn your tracks, and that arc is really narrow on the Jagdtiger, meaning that you have to turn your tracks in order to hit the enemies most of the times, and you cannot just shoot them without moving the whole tank. Yeah, with that covered, I mean, this tank doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. The lack of turret, the narrow gun arc, and the other one is the speed of the vehicle. 24 km per hour maximum speed is not a lot. Although if you buy the fuel consumable, the the maximum speed boost consumable, you are going to get a reasonable amount of increase in your speed, as you can see, up to 31 km in hour, which is not as annoying as 24, for example. So I mean, you can make the 24 km per hour work. It is not necessary to buy the fuel every time you enter the battle. Obviously that is going to cost money, and it's not really good to use a lot of consumables, because you're not going to get your money back after the end of the match. But yeah, with that being said, you can deal with that speed. I mean, the stock speed, I don't know, I never driven this tank stock. I mean, I did for one battle, but I didn't pay attention to the speed. The increase may not be that big. I mean, probably the stock speed is like 20 and now it's 24 or something like that. I don't know for sure, but what I'm saying is that it is not the fastest tank, but it will do the job. I mean, it's as fast as all the heavier tanks in the game. So yeah, with that being covered, in conclusion, I would say that the narrow gun arc, the lack of the turret, and the quite mediocre speed are the drawbacks of this machine. However, the good sides are the armor and the gun. The gun performs really nicely. If you don't fight experimentals, you do very, very nice damage. If you shoot your enemies at the flank, of course, you are going to do much more, like over 300. If you're using the heat consumable, which is really nice for that tier. But the machine, of course, struggles with multiple enemies because lack of turret, and obviously rate of fire is not that great, and every tank struggles against multiple enemies, but this one does especially so because it is slow, very slow backwards. You cannot retreat as quickly with this tank, so if multiple enemies are firing at you, until you get behind cover or behind the corner, you are going to get nailed. So that's pretty much it. The hit points are reasonable, they're really good if you use the armor protection consumable. Up to 1300, almost like 1296 health is not bad at all. Okay, let's move to the next game now and see. I mean, I couldn't get a very good game in this tank. All of the games were kind of okay. but it is not my type of vehicle. I mean, I don't like playing very slow vehicles because speed can help you do a lot of things. You can relocate, you can flank your opponents, you can dictate the pace of the combat. Well, in slower machines you just don't have this opportunity, and the speed is not a huge issue in the Jagdtiger. I mean, it's not a speed demon, but the other issue is the track traverse. It is not a maneuverable machine. It turns slowly, so it is a long range combat tank. I mean, it's probably best used for sniping. If you get this thing up close, you're not going to do well. You're going to struggle because they can easily circle you and you don't have the traverse to avoid it. Now, that being said, put a good shot at that Cromwell. I have faith in my teammate, so I'm starting to go in the other direction. I think, well, my teammate is going to kill the Cromwell, but no, he doesn't kill him until the Cromwell puts good shot into my rear. And now I'm taking fire from the front. I'm going to act really stupidly here, trying to shoot that Pershing, but I didn't see the reach, so I end up taking a lot of hits without returning any damage, which is really bad. I mean, you obviously want to play like that. Trade with guns that do less damage, or if you can, just shoot the enemy and don't let him shoot you back. That's the optimal gameplay strategy. But yeah, with that being said, put a good shot at the turret of this Tiger 2 without him being able to return a lot of damage. Now he's not feeling that confident anymore. I mean, he's going to try to come over that ridge in a second, but now I have support. There we go. He comes over the ridge. He does very little damage to me, and I shoot him in the front of the turret. If I had shoot his commander's hatch, I would have done enough damage to kill him, because that's sort of a weak spot on the Tiger 2. But I shot at the front of the turret and I ended up being punished for it. Now moving on to the last game of this video, and what I consider to be the best game that I had in this vehicle. I'm going to head for the middle of the map and see how the things go. Now, the formula for success in this vehicle is not having experimentals against you. If you have like 1 in 100 or 1 mouse, it's okay, but like 2 or 3 or more experimentals, you're not going to get a really good game. So that's it. I mean, the vehicle doesn't do especially well against those kind of opponents. Here, get a sneaky shot into that enemy. Didn't see what tank exactly was he driving. That VK is going to hang around there, and he's going to get punished for it, as he loses all of his hit points into that stupid maneuver that he performs. I mean, the dude got caught there, and what should he really have done is pulled back. I mean, he just stayed there and he tried to go forwards, and he got killed because of that. Anyways, moving up front, there's the new 100. I'm slightly afraid to go one-on-one with the new 100, but since he's showing me his flank, I am confident that I can out-damage him, perhaps, if I keep showing him only my front. Here, I can see that he's going for my side, because he's shooting my track. So I try to kind of side scrape a little, if you want, show my side at an extreme angle and only my front, so he can shoot. There we go. He shot my side and he bounced. That was my strategy basically against the C100, and I ended up winning. There we go. He died basically. Now I'm going to kill the Comet as well, and only 2 enemies remain. Pretty nice 1v1 with that T100. The thing that won me this engagement is that I showed him only my front and my side at extreme angle, and he bounced 1 shots. well, even if he didn't bounce that one shot, I have 441 hit points. He cannot one shot me from the front. So that's my tip for you. Show only your front. If you are behind a corner, try to side scrape at an extreme angle so the enemies will bounce. Never go out against more than 2 enemies, because you are going to get killed really easily, as you are not fast enough to retreat. And yeah, keep in mind that you have narrow gun arc, not really maneuverable vehicle, and but you have great armor, so that can make up for it. Play this vehicle the way that your pros overweight your cons. You have to play every vehicle like that. Abuse the vehicle's abuse the vehicle's strengths to avoid its weaknesses. This is the formula for success in this game, in my opinion. You just have to read your vehicle, know what are the tank's weaknesses and strengths, and just use the strengths and avoid situation where your weaknesses are going to get you killed. This is going to be for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and good luck on the battlefield.